A very good evening, everyone. Hearty welcome to all of you, each one of you, in today's class. And this is our second class, second lecture on CSAT Reading Comprehension series for UPSC Prelims exam. We had the lecture last Friday, and therefore, today we are having the second lecture in the same series. I'm absolutely good, and I hope all of you are doing very good. With that, let's now begin with today's lecture. But before beginning, let's give 5 minutes to a quick revision because we had a 2 day gap. And normally, when students come after a gap, a lot of things get slipped from the mind. We tend to forget a lot of things. Thank you so much. So, then quickly, let us do a small re encapsulation before we can proceed with today's practice class. Now, in the very first day, that is on Friday, we were talking about, yeah, absolutely. So, we were talking about what is this CSAT exam. So, that day we discussed that UPSC has the very first screening test called prelims exam. And in the prelims exam, we need to give two GS papers. One is GS paper 1 and the other is GS paper 2. Now, this GS paper 2 is absolutely about aptitude. They never test you for your knowledge, for your wisdom, for your experience. The only thing they test you for is your aptitude, which means how logically can a human being think. In short, kindly please refresh your link, madam. In short, they just test your capacity to think things logically. They are checking your life skills. And therefore, in this aptitude test called GS Paper 2 or Civil Services Aptitude Test, you have total 80 questions. 80 questions, and the total paper has 200 marks. But this is a passing paper. We don't need to get very high score, but we need to get 66 out of 200 to pass the paper. That's it. It's a passing paper, but it is a compulsory paper and it is a slightly difficult paper. Complicated, dicey questions. No wonder every year 20 to 25% students are not able to pass this paper. And that's the reason we need to systematically prepare. The next thing is, how many marks does one question contain? So per correct answer, you get 2.5 marks. And therefore, per wrong question, there is negative marking. 0.83 marks will be deducted per wrong answer. So therefore, no casual, no careless guesswork to be done here. Now, another thing is, how much time are you given? You are given 2 hours to finish the paper. What kind of questions come in this exam? What do they ask for the aptitude paper? They ask you many questions: maths, data interpretation, numerical reasoning, statement assertion, and the most important segment, reading comprehension passages. Why? Here, out of total 80 questions of CSAT, literally about 27 to 32 questions will always be based on reading comprehension. Always. So, which means that there is a good weightage of comprehension segment, more than 1/3 of the paper. And we should not leave this, therefore, we need to study systematically. So, what to do? How should we study? So, in the last lecture, we had discussed in this exam, if you have 27 to 32 questions coming from comprehension alone, we need to understand that here you will get many small comprehension passages, very small, and many passages. Maybe about 25 passages, maybe 30 passages, maybe 20 passages. Based on these passages, they will ask you either 1, 2, or 3 questions per passage. What kind of passages? Small, short passages. Where are the passages taken from? They are taken from newspaper editorial, current affairs, economics, climate change and globalization, social problems like caste system, dowry, or philosophical topics. After that, we discussed what do we need to do? We need to understand that UPSC CSAT asks you three kind of questions only. One, yes, is the PBQ. The other is the TBQ. And the last is the IBQ. Now, PBQ, as the name goes, is the passage-based question. Such an easy question this is. It is a no-brainer. You don't have to use any much mind over here. What do we need to do? We need to make sure we read the passage thoroughly and very seriously only once. If you have read the passage, and if it is a PBQ, the answer will be directly available in the passage itself. The option which is available in the passage, which is clearly written in the passage, will be the right answer. You don't have to think so much, and therefore PBQ is never based on complete passage. Okay, we'll talk about it. Therefore, PBQ is never based on complete passage. Then what is it based on? It is based on only one specific line of the passage or one specific sentence of the passage. Always remember. Always remember. Coming to the second variety of questions, TBQ. Now, these are the theme-based questions, which means that every passage, now listen to this very carefully, my dear. Every passage in this exam will always have two aspects to it, two sides to it. One will be the main idea of the passage, which means why was the passage written? Why has the author written this passage? What's the intention of the author? What's the main thing he wants to tell you or she wants to tell you? This is the main idea of the passage, the gist, the crux of the passage, the soul of the passage, the reason behind the passage. It is always one. Generally, it is some noun, name, place, person, animal or thing or an abstract idea, emotion. Now, along with the main idea, which is one, there are many extra ideas which are called supporting ideas, secondary ideas. These generally talk about adjective or they talk about verb related to this noun. For example, if the main passage talks about Holland Tunnel, if the main passage talks about a noun called Holland Tunnel, the supporting ideas will talk about the length of the tunnel. What cities does the tunnel connect? How much traffic goes on the tunnel? Under which river is it situated? And all of, yes, very good. It describes the noun. Or it talks about some action related to the noun. Okay. No problem, ma'am. You just refresh and join. If there's something that you miss, I'll stay back tomorrow extra and help you out with that. No worries. We'll keep repeating. So don't take stress there. Now, while main idea is only one, supporting ideas can be so many. Always remember. So TBQ or the theme-based question will always ask you this one main idea. That is, why is the passage written? After reading every passage, you have to ask yourself, why was the passage written? What's the purpose of the passage? There is always one intention a writer has, a speaker has. You need to find that out. Is that clear? So how will you identify a TBQ? Yes, because TBQ is based on the complete passage. Plus TBQ asks you clearly. What does it ask you? It asks you, what is the main idea or central idea of the passage? Otherwise, it will ask you, what is the crux or the gist of the passage? Or it will ask you, what does the passage sum up to be? Summary. Or it will ask you, which is the most critical message behind the passage or of the passage? Maybe it will ask you, why was the passage written? What is the main intention of the writer? That's all. If the main purpose, crux, summary, yes, the juice of the topic. If the intention, purpose, central idea, main idea, summary, message, these words are used, it has to be a TBQ. having said that, there is one last variety of questions which are deadly in nature. They are very tough. Now, these are referred to as the IBQ or the inference based questions. These are difficult. And majority of questions in CSAT will be based on IBQ. So we need to be very thorough about these. What is IBQ? Now, IBQ tries to ask you that, listen, if you have read the passage, you know something about the passage. Now, please try to reach a logical conclusion based on the passage. We did so many examples on Friday. It's dark clouds outside. Let me take my umbrella. So the answer is rainfall. Hidden conclusion. There are so many toys and diapers spread around in this house. There must be a child. All these speculations that we make, all these logical conclusions or deductions that you and I take out after looking at some proofs, some evidences, just like a detective, that's called inference making. So you need to analyze the passage from the first word to the last word. But always remember, my dear, the right option will always match the language of the passage. There has to be some similarity with what is being told in the passage and which is the right answer. Always remember that. Now, how will you identify an IBQ? If the question asks you, what is the inference of the passage? What is the implication of the passage? What can be deduced from the passage? The most important, which is the corollary of the passage? What do I say? Corollary. Which is the most logical and crucial inference from the passage? What can you imply from the passage? What does the author agree with or disagree with? What does the passage suggest? So we need to learn these keywords. Which keywords belong to a TBQ and which keywords belong to an IBQ? That's very critical here. So now if this is an IBQ, we were doing some examples and a lot of students said, yeah, it is slightly difficult to understand. A corollary means a derivation, a deduction that you can make out after listening to a few things. For example, if I tell you, it is too crowded outside. If we go outside, we are not safe. What is the logical conclusion? Let's not go outside. All students in this class are very bright. All students in this class are very bright. But I don't think they are very keen on solving maths problems. Conclusion? Most students are not good in mathematics. So when I'm not commenting on you, I'm just giving you an example. Don't take the compliment and don't be so happy, okay? Now, having said that, if you see some evidences or if you hear some examples, on the basis of that, what logical conclusion can you make? That's called an IBQ. I agree it is not something that's very easy or it's not something that comes like immediately. We need practice for that. Okay. But then, just to make your life easy, we in this platform, as I said, reveal to you some strategies, which we always call as our 4.5 in-house golden rules. What are these golden rules? Now, we have already discussed a couple of them. The very first rule was, if there is any answer, option, like you see a passage, after the passage, you will see a question. After the question, you will see 4 options, A, B, C, D. In any of these options, A, B, C, D, if there is an extreme word, now what is an extreme word? An extreme word is something you need to learn. Only, all, never, none, every, each, always. These are the 7 golden words or 6 golden words that you need to remember, because if there is a extreme word in any answer option, it will be wrong. There is a 99% possibility it's going to be wrong. So please never miss that. For example, in the passage that we saw here, if we knew this rule, then we know that only and all are extreme words, and we can eliminate the options which contain extreme words. And then we also went on to understand another rule, which said that if any answer option A, B, C, D, it talks about It talks about something that is not mentioned in the passage. It talks about some information that is outside the passage. Then kindly don't use your general knowledge here. Don't use your GS information here. You are doing comprehension, my dear. You are doing aptitude. These are all logical aptitude questions. We don't need to know your geography, history, political science, sociology, or mathematics here. We just need to know whether you have understood and read the passage thoroughly. This is called comprehension, the ability to understand something that you don't know. So, therefore, if any answer option deals with something that is not in context with the passage, that is not in reference to the passage, it has to be wrong. A very good example was this 2020 CSAT passage where option 1, option A said, rivers and other wetlands should be protected under Ramsar Convention. Now, we all know from our GK, from our GS and our UPSC preparation that yes, indeed, Ramsar does talk about protecting the wetlands. But the passage never spoke about Ramsar. It never spoke about any other convention. It never does that. So therefore, it was totally out of context and it was wrong. Similarly, the passage never spoke about cost, fees, or money, and therefore this was wrong as well. And it makes your life easy because you never ever will choose an option that is not mentioned in the passage. It is very unlikely, madam. If you're talking about UPSC PYQ, it is not going to happen. If it is happening, it will be a PBQ. It will not be an IBQ. Right? Okay. Or send me that question on my mail. Let's talk about that. I will. Today I will give you. Now, having said that, we went on to rule number 3, right? And rule number 3 said that. Have we done rule number 3? I'm having memory loss, it seems. I don't remember. Have we done rule number 3? This is happening after weekend. After one weekend, memory loss starts happening now. We just began. Okay. Thanks a ton. Thank you so much, my dear. Yes, we'll quickly do it. Now, rule number 3 says, if you read a passage, in that passage, while reading the passage, if you find a word that's called that in English, for those who know Hindi, it is called ki with a small matra. I'm just telling you so that you remember better, in case you know Hindi. If not, forget about it. This word that, if it's there in any passage, okay, thanks a ton. Now I remember. My memory has come back. I become Gajni sometimes. It's on and off. Now, in the passage, if you find the word that, then please remember, the line that comes after the word that, the line that comes immediately after the word that is very important. It is very critical. Why? Because it leads you to the answer. It helps you find out the main idea of the passage. It helps you in IBQ also, in TBQ also, in PBQ also. It will always help you in finding the answer. Why? Because the word that is always a concluding word. Always remember, whether it be Hindi, English, or any other language, the word that is always a concluding word, my dear. When I say, I am not trying to say that I have forgotten your name, or it is very clear that the world is heading towards political instability and war. So the word that is very important. It always gives you some or the other conclusion and it always leads you to the right answer. If that is correct, Sure. I'll explain it to you, sir. Don't worry at all. Yeah, I do teach Hindi as well, sir. I do that. I will share my mail ID. No, don't worry at all. No stress at all. I will share. Where I will run away if I don't share? Tomorrow again, I'll come here only. I'll share, okay? So now, let's quickly do a sample passage based on rule number 3. That is the word that. I'm presenting the passage to you, my dear. Please take up the passage, quickly solve a sample passage, and then we will proceed with rule number 4. So then it must have been about the books and study material. There are some problems which are logistical in nature, not academic. In those cases, I can just forward the mail, I can raise a ticket, but sometimes when resolutions take longer, I become helpless. That I'm really sorry about. But if it's academic about my subject, then I reply always. Otherwise, I'll come anyways, right? I won't run away. Okay, so please take the passage seriously. Use all the 3 rules. And please read the passage. Yes. Wherever the word that comes, the next line is important. Wherever the word that comes. Sorry, sir, about the mail missing. Just do it once more. Really sorry about that. Wherever the word that comes. All right, then let's proceed with the question quickly. Absolutely. Very well said. The theme is clear to you. And yeah, definitely it sounds like Titanic movie. It's a very, very narrative passage, story passage. So, what kind of a question is that? Let's sort that out first. Before we answer, we need to know the kind of question. Very good. It's a PBQ. Excellent. Now we'll do the polling. You can see the passage quickly. Options. 69% students say it is C, which is also the valid answer. Now, some students are confused with D, which is also very expected, by the way. So, 23% say it's D. Most students have not attempted, and 4 and 5% say A and B. Right, so let's quickly sort this issue. Now, when you say that the question is a PBQ, you should know, you need to know that a PBQ means answer has to be there in the passage. There is no way it will not be there. And that too, directly it should be there. If not, it is not a PBQ. But you know that the question is not based on the whole passage, it is based on one particular part of the passage. It is a PBQ. So the answer will also be direct. Now, A says, there was no storm in the sea while it was sailing. Golden rule number 2. This is outside the knowledge and the information given in the passage. Why? Because if you look at this line, cold stormy night, yet hours later, Estonia rolled over and sank in a cold stormy night. If the night was cold and stormy, then A absolutely is opposite of the passage. It is out of scope. It's wrong. B, it had sailed many times, several times before in rough seas. Now, where in the passage did it tell you this, that it has sailed several times before? Can anybody show me? It's not mentioned. Definitely, it's not mentioned top to bottom. It doesn't say anywhere that Estonia had been into a rough sea before. We don't know the history of Estonia at all regarding how many times it had been there before. Rule number 2, these were easy to rule out. Rule number 2, outside the scope of the passage. Now, let's talk about C and D. Now, why are so many people confused with D? I will tell you why. Because the first line of the passage says, naval architects, those who make ships and boats, they never claim, once again, they never claim, once again, they never claim that a ship is unsinkable, but the sinking of passenger ferry Estonia in the Baltic surely should never have happened. Now, while you have read that a ship is unsinkable, do you see the context in which it is written? It is just the opposite. They never claim that a ship is unsinkable. Let's come to the rule number 3, second part. Most importantly, that it had been thoroughly inspected on the day of its fatal voyage. Right after that comes the answer. That it had been thoroughly inspected on the day of its fatal voyage. If it's a PBQ, the answer is exactly mentioned in the passage, while rule number D says Estonia's sinking was a matter of surprise because it is believed to be unsinkable. There are two things here. One thing is, architects never ever say that a ship cannot sink. Second thing is, they are not mentioning about Estonia at all. Naval architects never claim that a ship is unsinkable. They are talking about any general ship. Now, there is a difference between these two articles, a and the. There is a difference between them. What's the difference between them? When we use the word a before something, a girl, a boy, a pen, a bottle, we mean in the general sense. Any. We mean any. We can talk about anything. A country. A country should be peaceful. A man should be honest. But when we talk about the, it's a definite article. The refers to something that we know, something that we are pointing out to. The bag there belongs to me. The bottle over there belongs to my colleague. The camera over there helps me connect with my students. The light over there sometimes bothers my eye. The. So there is a difference between the and a. The is when you are talking about somebody, something specific, a specific noun. A is a very generic noun. General, you are talking about just anything. And here naval architects are saying that a ship is unsinkable. Means generally, they don't claim that any ship is unsinkable. And here we are talking about Estonia. Where are they talking about Estonia? They never said it about Estonia, that Estonia is unsinkable. It is totally out of scope of the passage. You see, these are the small details we need to think about carefully. Is that clear now? Is that clear now? And yet, in most of the batches, we see this confusion between C and D. We always see that. All right. Now, having said this, having spoken about rule number 1, 2, and 3, there is one quick thing I want to tell you, and then let's warm up. We have done the warm up already. Let's begin with some high intensity exercises now. Okay. Nowadays, people are saying high intensity exercises are causing heart attacks, but it will not cause us heart attack. It can cause us brain attack because this is a brain high intensity exercise that we are going to do. Yeah. One quick thing and let's begin the workout now. Now, one thing I wanted to tell you, rule number 1 and rule number 2, they both belong to the options. Rule number 1 says extreme words in the options should be eliminated. Options with extreme words are wrong. Rule number 2 says options with outside information like this one, option number B, option number A, ruled out. But rule number 3, all the lines that come after the word that are very important. This belongs to the passage. That's all. With this in mind, let's now start the HIIT today. Let's begin with the high intensity workout. I am going to present you the CSAT passage. Kindly accept it. Please solve the passage. CSAT 2018 only for you. Read the passage only once. If you want to reread, only focus on rule number 3. Don't read unnecessary stuff. Done? Let's proceed with the question now. I think it's a short passage. Very good. Brilliant. Back to passage for a few seconds. Options, please. Wow, 72% students go with D. Very, very, very well answered. Remarkable. 15% students have gone with A, and I know the reason. Now, 8 and 5% have gone with C and B. That's okay. Must have been some confusion. And then, say about 45% students have not answered also. So let's see what happened here. D is absolutely the right answer. Now, the question is a PBQ, my dear. And in a PBQ, the answer has to be there directly in the passage, right? We know that. Plus, we also have the rule number 3, which is anything that comes after that has to be important. So let's go back. Yeah, it's like a cakewalk, right? It's like eating a laddu, right? So easy. Now, let's see. How can we use the rule 3? Though I have discarded, which means I have removed much of past tradition and custom. And I'm anxious, I'm worried that the very first time that is coming, India should rid herself of all shackles, foundations, and chains that bind and contain her. Bind, stop her. Contain again means obstruct her. They create a barrier in her path and divide her people and suppress, dominate many of them and prevent the free development of body and the spirit. What was the question? The author wants India. The author wants India to rid herself of certain past bonds because. Now, the question is matching the passage. I'm anxious that India should rid herself. Can you see the commonality? India should, the question says, the author wants India to rid herself. The passage says, look here. India should rid herself of all shackles that bind her, contain her, divide her people, and they prevent free development of body and spirit. That's why D is the right answer. What do you mean by free development of body and spirit? What do you mean by that? Body and spirit? Body and spirit means physical. Body is physical. Spirit is spiritual. So this is a PBQ. The answer is right there in the passage after the word that. Now let's talk about why people think it's A. He is not able to see the relevance of the past. All right. Now, if he is not able to see the relevance of the past, then what is this? Once again, after the word that, I am proud of the great inheritance that has been and is ours. And I'm conscious that I too, like all of us, am a link in that unbroken chain that goes back to the dawn of India's history. Once again, yet I do not want to cut myself from the past completely, which means it's not like he's not interested in the past. It's not like he's not seeing the relevance or importance of the past. He's only saying, from the past, I want to get rid of all the chains and barriers that stop the free development of India's body and mind. So therefore, he is seeing the relevance of the past. B. There is not much to be proud of. Really? Then why is he saying that? I too am proud. Look at this word here. I'm proud. He's proud. And how can you say he's not proud? See, he's not interested in the history of India. Now, if he's not interested in the history of India, then what is this? I'm proud of the great inheritance. I'm conscious. I am a link in that unbroken chain that goes back to the morning or the dawn of Indian history. Then how can you say that? Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. So tell me now, what's the problem? Why was C the right answer? Okay. Maybe, sir, it was an internet blip from your side. Just refresh the link. It happens. It happens with all of us. Internet is always off and on. Just refresh the link once, it's going to come back. Thank you so much. Are you clear with the answer now? Are you clear with the answer? All right. No confusions here? Everyone? In that case, rejoin once again. In that case, rejoin once again. If it is showing reload after 10 minutes, now what is this? In 10 minutes, class will be like, we'll miss so much. So then you rejoin. It's not clear. So what's the problem? What is not clear? Let me know. Tell me, I'm here at your service. Tell me, sir. Speak to me. Communicate. What's not clear? D is right because it's absolutely clearly in the passage. That's the beauty of a PBQ. A PBQ is a very scoring question, you know. If you see it as a PBQ, your answer you will find in the passage. There's no way you will not find it. Yeah? A, C and A, B and C are all irrelevant here. Okay, sir, I'll take this question only for you either at the end of today's lecture or tomorrow. In the meantime, let me proceed because otherwise other people will say, what are you doing? Why are you repeating so much? I'll repeat this for you. Okay, I will remember this. In the meantime, you take up the next question. Now, let's come to the rule number 4. Congratulations, you have reached rule number 4. It's not a joke. Rule number 1, extreme word in the options. Rule number 2, no outside information should be there in the options, otherwise it is wrong. Rule number 3, from the passage, if there's any word called that in the passage, the next line is very important. And here there is rule number 4. This is also to be used on the passage. This is also to be used on the passage. How should we use it? And what do we mean by structure words? Now, see, English or any other language, these are vast languages. And what is a language? A language is nothing but a combination of words put together. They're all coming together through different rules. This is called a language. The more words we know, the stronger our command over language. The more we can express, the lesser words we know, the poorer we have our vocabulary, the lesser we understand, the lesser we talk. Similarly, there are certain words in English which are so common that everybody knows about them. I mean, you can't even think of writing a paragraph without using these words. And these are called structure words. Why? Because they have the power, they have the capacity to change the argument of the writer. These are so powerful words. They change the structure of the paragraph. They change the arguments of the writer. And that's why we call them structure words. They have the power to change the meaning of the paragraph. Now, a very good example I will give you here. Very good. A very good example I can give you. For example, if I tell you that I know sometimes that studying for a competition could be very challenging, but still we should always be motivated. Now, you see, the first part of the sentence, I was being negative, pessimistic. In the second part, suddenly I became optimistic. Similarly, although India is very good friends with Israel, but in today's geopolitical conditions, India also decided to send some aid to Palestine because now it is a matter of world peace. It is a matter of victims, you know. So what happens? Some words like but, however, until, unless, hence, therefore, all these are very powerful words. They have the capacity to change the argument completely. For example, let's use hence. She decided to stop using social media. She decided to work very hard for 6 months. Hence, she was selected in the NET exam. There is a result. Hence, this happened. Similarly, you can say moreover. He's a very honest man, moreover. He always tries to work hard. He never takes help from anyone. Moreover, extra information is coming. Similarly, until unless conditions. Unless you give my money back, I will not give you my notes. Until. Until my mother returns, I have decided not to come for the class. So, all these words are coming with huge power, and these words have the capacity to change the argument of the write up and the author. What are these words? Thus, therefore, hence, but, yet, since, for. You are a very close friend of mine. But since you have cheated this time, I will not trust you. India decides to send rescue and aid to all the countries who are suffering from war, and yet India has so many enemies. However, moreover, until unless. Now, these are a set of about 8 or 9 words. What you need to do, you don't have to remember all of them all the time by heart. No, I don't have unreasonable expectations from anyone. But I definitely expect that at least you will read this list 3 to 4 times, not less than that. 3 to 4 times. Why? Because there is no need to sit and learn and write them. But if you read them 3 to 4 times, they automatically register in your mind. And then when you read the passage, you will learn how to focus on them automatically. That happens with everyone. So therefore, do remember that all these words, if you find them in the passage somewhere, if you find them in the passage somewhere, please stop for a second and understand that the line that follows these words, the very next line or the very next 1.5 line, are very, very critical. They are very, very important. They again will always take you to the answer. Why will they take you to the answer? Because these are decisive words. They always talk about some conclusion. They always talk about a reason behind something. Since, conclusion is therefore, hence, thus. Condition is until, unless. Paradox is however, but. So they always give you some twist in the story, and that's where your answer will be. Now, some student just said that it is a word of game. It's a trap. These passages are traps, nothing else. Who said that? I don't know, but somebody said that. It was an interesting comment, really. Yes, they are traps. They are nothing but word traps. So sometimes to decode these word traps, you need to focus on the important words. Rule number 3 says, please focus on that. Anything that comes after that is critical. And rule number 4 says, please focus on structure words. Because any line that comes after structure words, whether it be any structure word, however, thus, therefore, until, moreover, since, but, for, however, whichever line will follow these structure words will again always lead you to the answer, whether it be any question, PB, TB, IBQ. Is that clear? Is that sorted? Any questions here? Any doubts, anybody? Yes, then kindly let me know. No, then let's proceed with some sample passages and try. Yeah? Now, never think so much, why are they structure words? They are structure words because they change the argument. They change the structure of the passage. That's why they are called structure words. So now if you're saying proceed, now that I have a green signal from you, let us proceed. Now, when I present you these CSAT passages, we will only do the PYQs now, no more sample passages. Sample passage time has gone. You are a grown-up child now. You will only do CSAT now. PYQs. So please learn to use rule number 1, 2, 3, 4 simultaneously. Always. Rule number 1 and 2, options. Rule number 3 and 4, passage. Let's proceed. CSAT 2018 only for you. Okay, let's proceed with the question then. How can it be a PBQ? The question is based on the complete passage. Then how can it be a PBQ, huh? It's a TBQ. Main idea of the author. Nothing much, sir. Don't worry. Just a few revision you have missed. We'll revise. Don't worry. Yes, passage. Options. Okay. 83% have gone with B. Now, above 80% is fantastic. Really, really, very, very well done. Very, very well done. Sure, I will. Very well done. Now, 11% have gone with C. Only 3% go with A and 3% go with D. Now, if you talk about option number A, my dear, what is this word here? It's an extreme word. Golden rule number one. It's an extreme word. Only, all, always, none, never, each, every. These are extreme words. You can absolutely eliminate that, okay? I think it is not a mistake. It is a very careless mistake. Now, let's talk about C. The result of training shows that more people acquire, which means more people get leadership than are expected. Now, where in the passage has it been written that the result of training shows that more people get leadership than you expect or than are expected? I can't see that. In fact, the training shows that. Let me tell you what the training has shown. The training has shown that when a soldier is faced with the alternative of going right or wrong, every soldier soon understands, grasps that a quick decision, a prompt decision either way is better than just constantly discussing endlessly. Why? Because a strong choice of going either right or left has more, even means fair. Fair means good, has good chance of being right, while to do nothing will be definitely wrong. Because if a soldier keeps standing at one place and keep discussing, should I go right, should I go right, or should I go left, in the meantime, some missile might come, some soldier may hit you, and enemy will kill you. The soldier doesn't have so much time to talk. They automatically become leaders. Who is a leader? The one who makes decisions. Soldiers naturally become leaders after training. Why? Because their situation is so dangerous. That's what the training is showing. The training is not telling that more people get leadership or the more people acquire leadership than you expect them to. I don't think it's anywhere in the passage. Rule number 2, it's out of scope. Now, D. Despite heavy instruction, instruction means again training. Despite heavy training, very few leaders are produced. Once again, can you show me where is it mentioned in the passage? Show me quickly. People who selected D, enlighten this woman sitting here. Where is it written in the passage? That despite rigorous instruction, very few leaders are produced. Now, I can't see that anywhere. Out of scope of the passage. Let's go to B. Leadership can be acquired as well as taught. All right, let's see in the passage. People believe that. Rule number 3, leadership is a quality which you have at birth or you never have it. Next line. This theory is false. This theory is false. For. Now, what is for? For is a structure word. I know it's new to you, but this is something that we must keep in mind. Look at this, the previous slide. What is a structure word? Thus, therefore, hence, but for. Since it is new to you, I keep highlighting them. Tomorrow, I will not do that. Tomorrow, definitely, I'm not going to give any hints. No highlighting rule 3, no highlighting rule 4. Totally, you have to do it on your own. Just today, you see what have I done here? I have selected the word for and I have written 4, the rule number 4. The line after structure word will be very important. So, for the art of leadership can be acquired and can indeed be taught, which means that it is both way. The art of leadership can be acquired as well as taught. It's a TBQ, but the answer is as easy as a PBQ. Is that clear? See, mistakes are not a problem. I am 0% concerned if you answer the wrong. It doesn't matter. But what really matters is that have you understood why is B the right answer? See, once again, I'm restating my intention of the lecture. We are not holding these lectures in Hindi and in English so that students know the right answer, because that they can download online. Every website has UPSC answer key. Why would we waste your time? The intention is not to let you know the right answer. The intention is you should know why is it the right answer. You should be thoroughly convinced. I hope you are. For this question, if yes, can we proceed with another example passage? PYQ. Okay. Think of the rules carefully. After reading the passage only once, ask yourself, why was the passage written? Why did the writer write this passage? This question is a mandatory question. Whether you are doing practice here or after tomorrow when you will do it in your house all alone, or whether you write the exam next year, it doesn't matter where you are. But whenever you solve a CSAT passage, the first thing you will ask yourself, why was this passage written? Why? What's the intention? Ultimately, okay, this I'll tell you later. Let's start another passage now. CSAT passage 2019. Please read on. Very good. The passage suggests or argues is always an IBQ. It is a question that's very easy, but the options are very overlapping. Very overlapping. So think carefully. Why was the passage written? Why? Why was it written? Oh, thank you. Now, the result is absolutely here, and it's really intriguing to see that. D option, which is also the right answer, has been selected by 45% of the respondents. And now this is really, really unexpected. Why? Because it's close to majority, but not majority. But then D is the right answer. There's no debate that we can have there. And now 34% say it is C. Once again, very overlapping. 10% B and 12% A. So as I said, this is one question with super overlapping options, and therefore I was constantly highlighting that after reading any CSAT passage, the main idea should always be to focus upon why did the writer write this passage. Now, whenever you write something, you do have an intention behind that. And this is exactly what you need to decode. Yes, it was a trap, I agree. It was close, I agree. But you need to find out why was the passage written? What's the intention? A, B, and C are supporting ideas. D is the main idea. Why? Let's find out. The interest of working and the poor people have historically, since history, they have been neglected in the planning of our cities. Agreed. No problem. Why? Our cities are increasingly intolerant, unsafe, unlivable. You can't live them. Places for large number of citizens, and yet, what is yet? Yet is a structure word. Okay, thank you. Now, yet is a structure word. Yes. If yet is a structure word, then the next line has to be important. We continue to plan via the old ways. We are still planning in the old way, which is a very static planning, static development plan. That, rule number 3, that draws means takes, that borrows or takes exclusively only from technical expertise. Okay, it's very good. You are taking technical expertise, but this is remote. Distance means remote. Removed. It is removed from people's life experiences and it. And actively excluding a large number of people, places, activities, and practices that, rule number 3, are an integral part of the city. Now look at the last line of the passage. Integral part of the city. The passage. Now if it's an IBQ, as you're saying, ma'am, it's a TBQ. It's an IBQ, but there is a huge overlap between the two always. Now let's look at some evidences from the passage. Let's link them and make a conclusion. What is the main intention of the passage? The passage is seeming to argue that, 1, let's focus on the rules. Our cities are not livable. People are not happy here. Yet we are planning the old ways. We are planning in the static old way that is excluding. Now please mark the words after rules. That exclusively, that excludes technical expertise. Yes, it is based on technical expertise. It is distanced. It is removed. It is remote from people's lives and needs and experiences. And it actively excludes them. It doesn't include everyone. Places and activities that are an integral part of the city. So now if you link these and reach a conclusion, the passage is trying to pitch for, the passage is trying to argue for inclusivity in development. The passage is not saying it is bad to do technical expertise, but it is definitely very bad that you only focus upon technical expertise and then you are not helping those people who are a part of the city. What is the use of that technical planning where cities are becoming unsafe and unlivable for a large number of people? For a large number of people. Right? And this planning, it may be good, but it is remote, it is distanced from the lives and needs of people. It excludes huge number of people, same thing. Unlivable for a large number of people, excludes large number of people, activities and practices which actually, or that, are an integral part of the city. City is for everyone, you and right to city. And still, this static development model lacks inclusion. It is exclusive. It only takes care of few people, not everyone. So basically, we should make a city that should allow people's experiences, needs, and lives to be a part of that. It should be livable for everyone, not for few. And now, look at option number A, against the monopoly of builders and the interest of elite group. Now, one question I want to ask you, my dear. Those who went with option A and those who believe it can be option A. Does the passage anywhere talk about monopoly of builders or the rich or the elite? No. There is only one complaint that the passage has made, and that complaint is against static development plan, which is only and exclusively based on technical expertise. But are we saying that this is because the monopoly belongs to the rich and the elite and the builder and the private companies? No, this is something you presumed. Admit it. I know some students will never admit. Now, I was taking this offline lecture in Hyderabad last year, and the same passage we were doing in offline mode. And now there is this one student. 4 days we had the class. All 4 days he used to come with the same passage. I'm still not convinced. Why is it D? No, it should be C only. I'm like, in that case, you have to write a petition to UPSC. I'm not responsible for that. It is D only. So A is something that the passage is not talking about. It is totally rule number 2. Where in the passage are you saying monopoly of builders and interest of elite groups? You presumed it on your own, my dear. It's not there. B, against the need of global and smart cities. Wow, this is a step ahead. Global and smart cities, really? Is the passage saying it is not good to make global and smart cities? See, listen to me carefully. If the word exclusively in the passage was not there, if the word exclusively was not there, if they said our cities are still planning the old static development plan that draws from technical expertise, I can still understand. Oh, the passage is against technical expertise. Oh, which means the passage is against smart cities. Oh, which means passage is against global smart city. But the passage is not saying that. Passage is saying that draws exclusively from technical planning, which means technical planning is not an issue. Only technical planning, exclusively technical planning can be an issue. Because that's not the only thing a human needs. What will you do with good buses, good transport, if people themselves are not getting the right to participate? Yeah. True. I always tell you that. For these CSAT questions, there is no right or there is no wrong answer. More than one option can be right, it can seem right, but the question is asking you one. The passage seems to argue, which means, agreed, all these might be true, but there is just one conclusion that you need to make here. So B again is not a part of the passage. The passage has not argued against global and smart cities. If yes, show me. Enlighten my path. Shower your blessings and knowledge on me. Show me, where is it? It is invisible to me for some reason. Where is it? Show me. Show me. Show where? Show. Show, I can see everything clearly. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So much silence now. Why? Where is it? Show. It's not then. Then rule number 2 you have to use. See, in favor of planning cities mainly for the working class and poor people. Okay, very good. Now, this is a very democratic option. Any UPSC aspirant should go with C. Most of my students do. But this is not the appropriate answer. Why? In favor of planning cities mainly. Now, once again, you are talking about exclusivity. When you plan a city mainly for the working class and poor people, is it a mistake of somebody to be rich and elite? You are almost saying that being rich and successful is a crime. The cities should be mainly for working class and poor people. I don't think the passage ever said that. Neither is the passage blaming. Yeah, I know the first line has said that. Agree, that's a very good thing you're saying. The interest of working and poor people have historically been neglected in the planning of our cities. And then it says something else also. The cities are increasingly intolerant, unsafe, unlivable for a large number of citizens. Right? And we need a plan which actually includes places, activities, experiences which are an integral part of the city, which means although the first line is related to the fact that yes, these people have been neglected, but then the later part of the passage says we need a planning in which everyone can participate. You cannot have a planning which is actually distanced from people, which is unlivable for a large number of people. You need to talk about those who are an integral part of the city. So definitely, even these should be included and those should be included who are rich and elite. Everybody should be included. So the right and the valid response is in favor of participation of people's groups in city planning. Why? Because we should include people who are an integral part of the city. Plus, the static planning is avoiding what? Experience, life, and need of people. So, when will they come? They will come when actually people are allowed to participate in city planning. Absolutely. Yes, yes. No, you see this way. If you are considering this as a PBQ, then your point is 100% valid that people's participation and people's group is not mentioned in the passage. I agree. But then we are not talking about a PBQ. We are talking about an IBQ. In an IBQ, it is not necessary that the same option should be clearly visible in the passage. It will not be. But the same intention should be visible in the passage, which is happening exactly. The static development plan is only about technical expertise. It is remote from people's lives, experiences, and needs. And it avoids those who are an integral part of the city. Now, how will you involve people's lives, experiences, and needs? How will you involve those who are an integral part of the city? How will you avoid the static development plan? By making it more democratic. And that's why D is the valid answer here. Agreed, it's confusing, but if you conclude in a logical way, you will understand why D is the right answer. Okay. There's one more thing I want to tell you now on a very honest note. If option number C would have said, in favor of planning cities for working class and poor people, then UPSC would have said C and D both are valid. It has done it many times. Many times, UPSC gives the official answer key if you have ever downloaded it. If not, then try to do that once from official website of UPSC. They give you answers to passages like C or D. Both are valid. Even then, I would not have said that C is wrong. Why would I? But the problem is, they are saying mainly for some particular category of people. Now, you can never plan a city mainly for someone. You need to plan a city for everyone. That's the way, that's why it's wrong. Okay? Okay. That's interesting. What's the main idea of the passage? Inclusive city planning. Inclusive city planning. Is that sorted now? True, true. For those people, that's a very good thing you have mentioned actually. For those people who believe that the first line is a super confusing line, which also misled you, by the way. She's so disappointed that it happened with her. I agree, it happens. But immediately after that, the static development plan has changed the vibe of the question completely. Right? So that's why we need to focus on structure words. Now, for those people who reread the passage 2-3 times, okay, fine, you did that. But why did you read the first line so many times? Was there a structure word there? Was there a word called that over there? It was not there. Then why were you reading it again, again, again? I said, please read the passage once, but then if you need to reread the passage, then only focus on that and rule number 4, that and yet. And then this mistake wouldn't have happened. Okay. Thank you so much. Also, there's one more thing I would want to tell you. Now, UPSC has its own kind of vocabulary. It's an interesting thing, if you notice ever. In the last 12-year papers, I have noticed UPSC has a unique vocabulary. You will always find passages in which words are repeated again and again and again. For example, if you ever notice, there is a word called grasp. Remember, where did you find that word grasp? Where did we find that word grasp? Look at this passage here, which you have just solved 2018. Look at this word here. Grasps. Did we find the word grasp somewhere else also? Yes or no? Let's show you. Seeing is believing. Listening is not believing. Let's show you. Now look at this passage here. Look at this passage here. 2020. Wetland passage. What is this? Grasp. Similarly, it's not just these two words that I'm concerned about. There are many more words that you will see are always getting repeated in CSAT passages. Always. One of the example is grasp. Other example could be anarchy. Other example will be yet. Some other examples will include, say for example, this one. I even told you the meaning of one. Yes, anarchy means lawlessness. Lawlessness. Breakdown of law and order. So these are words you will always find, and there are many more. I'll keep showing you them. No, no, no. These are not extreme words, but these are words which repeat very often. UPSC has an own vocabulary. It keeps repeating words. So in future also the passages will heavily use these words. Therefore, PYQ is a very good thing. Why I always focus on PYQ? Nowhere else you will find this vocab. Now, once you get used to this vocabulary, to understand the passages becomes very easy. Because the style of writing is the same in every passage. The structure of every passage is the same. Everywhere you have to do the same thing, apply the same logic, and that's why actually it really works very well once you get used to practicing the PYQs. Like, yeah, anarchy could be Taliban. Anarchy could be like right now in, say, Palestine. So, where there is a complete breakdown of law and order, where people just do whatever they like. So, that's where you call it anarchy, right? So, having said that, let's quickly proceed to another passage. For those who are disappointed with this one, try this. The passage seems to suggest that my dear is an IBQ. IBQ. No problem. Tragedy. Poll has disappeared. What should I do now? I haven't seen the poll. Poll has disappeared. Poll vanished. Repoll, everybody will come to know an answer. But I know that everybody must have done A or D. That I know from my previous experience. Okay, thanks for telling. 40% C, 40, acha, 40% C, 40 went with D. Then how many went with, oh, 29% about, they went with D. Oh, 40 is D. What is the majority? Is the majority D or not? Yeah? No problem. But what is the majority was D. Fine, then that's very good. If 39 or 40 or whatever, if the majority was D, then very well done. Yes, D is the right answer. That's very, very valid. And I'm so sorry for this technical glitch. I was shocked. I knew it's A or D only. I knew that. But as soon as I said that, the poll disappeared. I'm like, what a slap in the face. Wow. This is the cost you pay for being oversmart. I was being oversmart. I got a prize for it. Anyways. Now, if D is the right answer, very well done. So let's analyze why did so many people choose A like they always do. The question is definitely IBQ. What does the passage seem to suggest? A. A leader foresees his future position. I knew this will confuse. A leader foresees his future position, which means a leader will foresee his own future position. He will say, tomorrow I will become a leader. Let's find in the passage. In a free country, the man who reaches the position of a leader is usually one with outstanding, brilliant character and ability. Structure word for. Next line, super important. Moreover, it is usually possible to foresee, to already see in advance, to have a premonition that, rule number 3, he will reach such a position. Who will reach? I will reach. He will reach. Who will reach? He will reach. Since, structure word again, early in life, one can see his qualities of character. And you are saying A is the right answer. A leader will foresee his own future position. A leader will foresee his future position, but the passage says, moreover, it is usually possible to foresee that he will reach such a position since early in life. One can see his qualities of character, which means other people see his qualities of character. Other people have a premonition that he will become a leader in future. Where is it written that the leader himself will become like a clairvoyant? A leader will only say that I will become a leader. Where is it written? Sure. There is a difference. What is he? He is a preposition. When do we use the word he? When we talk about somebody else, when we don't want to repeat the name. Ram is coming, Ram is eating, Ram is sleeping. No, Ram is coming, he was eating, he was sleeping. He is a preposition. It is a second person preposition. It is used for other people. I is a first person verb. It is used for myself. I, he, she. Then how actually could you presume that A is the right answer? A leader foresees his own position. The passage is not saying that. Structure words are clearly giving you the answer. Moreover, it is possible to foresee that he will reach such a position since early in life one can. One means any individual can see his qualities of character. So that's why A is totally wrong. It's not there in the passage. Comes one more structure word. Sorry, it's a pronoun. I'm extremely sorry for the yeah. Pronoun, first person, second person. True. Thank you so much. But, structure word. Once again, structure word. But. This is not always true in the case of a dictator. Now, who's a dictator? A despot. Somebody who is like a tyrant. Somebody who forces himself upon you. Yeah, dictator. Who dictates you. Hitler, North Korea, Kim Jong. Almost like Chinese President Xi Jinping or the Taliban ruler or any such person who is forcing himself upon the people. Yeah, Hitler is a very good example. Mussolini, Hitler, all these people. In the case of a dictator, why? Because often the dictator, reaches his position through chance. Chance is a coincidence. Very often through the unhappy state of his country. Yeah. But in the case of a leader, now but is a structure word, argument changes. But it is not always true in the case of a dictator, because a dictator always becomes powerful through chance. It is not definite, it's by chance. Very often because the country is in an unhappy condition. If a country is in unhappy condition like poverty or fight, despair means unhappiness, mayhem, confusion, deprivation, law and order breakdown, sorrow. If a country is unhappy, then what happens there? Obviously, people take advantage and they become the leaders over there. Crisis is a good word. Yes. Right? So therefore, A is invalid. B, a leader is chosen only. Now, what is only? What is only? Only is a structure word. So clearly, you have to use rule number 1. It cannot be true. You can eliminate it immediately. C, a leader must see that his country is free from despair. Now, if despair means sorrow, crisis, pain, or a problem, yeah, a leader must see that his country is free from despair. In the passage, are we talking about the duties or the responsibilities of a good leader? Are we doing that? Are we talking about the duties and the responsibilities of a successful leader? No, we are not doing that. So therefore, it is totally outside the passage. While the option is correct ethically, but we don't care. It's outside the passage scope. And that's why it cannot work for us. And that's why it's wrong. How do we care? a leader should see or not see, doesn't matter to us. Now look at D. Despair in a country. Yes, but this is not always true. In the case of a dictator, often, many times, he reaches his position of power through chance, very often through the unhappy state of his country. So, unhappiness or despair in a country, sometimes it leads to dictatorship. Yes, absolutely. That's what the passage says. Very often means not always, but many times. The word often is also a very big word here. Here they say sometimes, here they say also sometimes, many times. It leads to dictatorship. So, if in a country there is unhappiness, many times it could lead to people becoming dictators. That's exactly what the passage is trying to say. Okay, if D was not the option, then which will be the answer? A cannot be the answer, B cannot be the answer. Then C could have been the logical answer. In that case only, if D was not there, right? Otherwise, D. C is very logical. Now, I'm not denying that at all. I'm not denying that. But this is how it's a trap, really. Because we need to see that what is that main suggestion of the passage, the main idea? Why was the passage written? That's what we need to check out, actually. The passage was not written to inform you about how should a good leader be like. That's where they caught you. That's where they caught you. D is something that resonates very well with the passage. Now, I also told you, I think Friday and today as well, before beginning, that, very often you will notice that even in TBQ and in IBQ, the right option somewhere matches or overlaps. It has some kind of a familiarity with the passage itself. And exactly that happens everywhere. This is having a direct resonance with the last 2-3 lines of the passage. Is that clear? That's why it's the right answer. Yeah, you will break it. Definitely. It comes only with practice. There's no alternative to it. Nobody can say that I'm good in CSAT, RC because it's a skill that I have. It's never like an innate skill. It is always coming through practice. There's no other way. Whether it be CAT or whether it be CSAT, RC has only one choice. Familiarity, practice, familiarity, practice. The good thing is pattern doesn't change. For the last 12 years, every year, the same passages, same kind of questions, same kind of traps. So that works for you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Can we proceed? Thank you. Can we proceed now? Any other doubts anybody has about this passage? Oh, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Have patience, my dear. It's coming. Now, this is a very sweet passage. You will love it. CSAT 2013. Please take it up. Very good. It's a PBQ. Definitely, it's a PBQ. It was pointed out to the lady that she should walk on the pavement because she was one line of the passage. So it's a PBQ. Definitely. Here I'm launching the poll as well. Stout means somebody who's fat or chubby. Don't look at me like that, okay? Let's not get personal about it. Somebody who walks. 64% A, very good. Yeah, a pedestrian is a foot passenger, somebody who's walking on feet, somebody who walks. That's a pedestrian because they walk on a pedestal. A pedestal is like a pavement, a footpath. Definitely 64% A, valid answer. No issues there. Very, very well done. PBQ, direct answer. Some confusions people are having with the D and C. C is like body shaming. Come on. How can you say that? It was told to her that please, you should walk on the pavement because she was stout. So what? A fat person can't walk on the road. That's not fair. Rule number two. She was an old lady. Now we are being ageist. Ageist is somebody who hates old people. That is also not a good thing, na? So rule number two. B. Carrying a basket. Now, carrying a basket is not a crime either. So, rule number two. Obviously, she was a pedestrian. This line says everything. Let's only focus on the parts with rule number 3 and 4. Rule number 3. It was pointed out to her that the pavement was the place for the foot passengers. Rule number 4. But she replied, I am going to walk where I like. We have liberty now. It did not occur to her. She did not understand that rule number 3. If liberty means foot passenger can walk on the road, it also means taxi driver can drive on the pavement. What will happen with such liberty? Universal chaos, universal destruction. Universal destruction. Yeah, it's a verb. Yeah. So therefore, she is misunderstanding completely. Definitely A is the answer. And now for those who say that, but how can you say you can't see us? So mothers and teachers, they have invisible eyes. They can see everybody, even through camera, even when students or children are lying or whatever it is. No arguments there. Let's look at second question. Same passage. Please kindly take it up. Okay, fine. %81 B, above 80, very good. Clearly B. Those who skipped the passage in the last minute, apologies for that. But in the last minute, if I skip the passage, the poll goes away. So once we move, we'll just do it this way. Now, B, definitely it's correct. Why is it correct? But nobody told me what kind of question was that. The lady refused to move from the middle of the street because it is a PBQ. Now that it is a PBQ, yes, the answer will definitely be in the passage. And exactly, she felt that she is entitled to do whatever she likes. B is absolutely correct. And minimally, we have A, C, and D. So, no issues here. Where does it say in the passage? Go by the rules. But structure word, she replied, I am going to walk where I like. We have got liberty now. Rule number 3, it did not occur to her that if liberty meant that a foot person can be on the road, it means taxi can be on the pavement. The end of such liberty is all chaotic. Then the last line, individual liberty would have become social anarchy. Now, what is social? Anything that applies to society becomes social. Social problem, the problem of a given society, a given country. Social deprivation, so many people together, if they are deprived, social deprivation. So individual is to one person, social is to everybody in the society. Okay. Anarchy, lawlessness. In an area, in a region, if there is a complete breakdown of law and order, it becomes anarchy. It's a very common word used in CSAT passages. Yes, it means total social chaos, social anarchy. There's a very good word for this. chaos. It's called pandemonium. Pandemonium also means a chaos or a mess. Okay? It's total here and there. Messed up situation. Okay? Now, she was confused? No, she wasn't confused. D is out of scope. See, if she was confused, she would not have replied like this. I will walk where I like because we have liberty now. If she was confused, she would have moved away. When it was told to her that pavement is only for foot passengers, she would have said, okay, fine, I didn't know. Right? She wouldn't have argued in such intelligence. She's very, very intelligent and she's very, very quick to reply that no, I will do it because I am a free person. I have liberty. So this is a complete misunderstanding of the concept of liberty, that she feels I can do anything. Definitely A is illogical. How do we know whether she was a suicide bomber or whether she was confused? We can't guess that. See, she did not like walking on the pavement. That's also very hard to believe because we don't know. Again, it is out of scope of the passage. The passage doesn't talk about the mental state of the woman. Not at all. We just know that she's a stubborn woman. She says, I will do what I like. She knows. And deliberately she's breaking the rules. So definitely B is the right answer. Right? Now with this, let's quickly inform you about rule number half, which might make your life a little more easy. What is this rule number half? Now, so far we know 4 rules. There is this small appendix, a half small rule that comes alongside a half golden rule, which means that this is also applicable to the passage itself. And it means that in any given passage, the last 3 lines, the last 3 lines of the passage, it could be 2.5, it could be 3.5, broadly 3. They are very decisive. You will always notice that if you get 30 passages, for example, in the CSAT exam, say about 19 to 20 of them will be very, very critical in their last 3 lines. The last 3 lines are normally the concluding lines of the passage, and they also help you find the right option. Why we call it a half rule? We call it a half rule because in terms of its accuracy and applicability, it is not 100%. Very honestly talking. It's only about 65% accurate and applicable. Why do I say that? It's because in every passage it doesn't happen like that. But in a majority of passages it will happen like that. So it is something we should remember. It's not something that in every passage I'm going to do that. But definitely, I would say 65 to 70% in fact. You will find that the last 3 lines of the passage will help you decode the right answer. So that's why I have called this a half rule in terms of its accuracy. Say, for example, rule number 1. I told you very honestly, it's 99% accurate. Rule number 2, 100% success rate. No doubts there. Rule number 3, that I would say 95% successful. Rule number 4, structure words. Once again, I would say they are about 95% successful. Rule number half, only let's keep a broader estimate, 70% successful. Now, when you use all these rules together, that helps you decode the trap of the answer. At the end of this is not English language. It is a very, very verbal reasoning question. So how do you crack the question? By using the rules. As simple as that. Is that clear? While the first 2 are only applicable to the options, the last 2.5 are applicable to the passage itself. What we need to do is to use all of them together. As I said previously in the very first rule, if 99% extreme word rule is successful, what happens in the case of 1%? If the rule fails, now in that case, it will be a PBQ. In case of PPQ, there is a failure rate of 1%. That happens. That can happen. But since it's a PBQ, you will again come to know the answer quite easily. It will be there visible in the passage. Clear? Any doubts regarding this? The last rule is nothing. It's called the half rule. According to the half rule, in every passage, you will have the last 3 lines or the last 3 lines of every passage in CSAT will always be important to you. Why? Because they are the concluding lines of the passage and they will help you in decoding the right answer. Is that clear? Why I'm calling this the half rule? 65% to 70% only it can be used. Not in all the passages it gives you brilliant result, but up to 70% it will definitely work for you. Is that clear? Can we proceed now with the next question in case it's clear? So the next question is going to be a tough question. Let me prepare you for that. Why? Because half class is over. So now it's time we graduate to another level of passages. You will find some easy ones. You might find some very challenging ones. But as I said, it is a high intensity training for your brain. We need to do this if we need to crack the CSAT. So all the best. Take up the question. Don't get nervous. Don't get upset if the answer is wrong. You need to be very positive. Try. 2018. Okay. %46% D. Very good. Correct answer. Well done. 15% A. 31% B. 8% C. Not everybody attempted. Let's see. Yes. Let's see what went wrong. The reason I was highlighting rule 2, this entire question is a very weird question. Why? First thing is, in the passage there is no rule 3, no rule 4. Neither, now this is a rare case scenario, I must say, where neither the rule number 3 worked nor the rule number 4 worked. If both failed, only rule number half worked. The last 3 lines were quite decisive. Now this entire question could have been successful only by using the rule number 2. It would have worked wonderfully because there is no rule 1, there is no extreme word. Let's see why. Now, A. Rural people are giving up. Giving up means stopping to do it, abandoning the use of polluting solid fuel due to their increasing awareness of health hazard. Hazard means danger, right? If that's the case, then what is this in the passage, my dear? Half rule, last lines. The number using polluting solid fuel as their primary cooking fuel has remained static for 30 years at about 70 crores. It's not coming down, and neither are they stopping to use it because of 30 years, because of 70 crore fixed. Another question I want to raise to those who think A is the right answer. Please tell me, where in the passage did you see that it's because of awareness of health risk? It's because of the awareness of health and well being, these people are becoming conscious now. Does the passage directly or indirectly suggest awareness anywhere? Even when the passage says, although the fraction, which means the very small fraction of Indian population using clean cooking fuels such as LPG is slowly rising. What are we talking about? Fraction of Indian population. Look at the option. Number A, rural people. Are we saying rural people are using clean fuel such as LPG and natural gas? Slowly the number is rising? No. Yeah, exactly. Although some. Who is this although some? Tell me. Who is this although some? Is this rural people? No, it is Indian population. It can be rural as well as urban. You got lost in words. First line. Cooking with biomass and coal. Cooking with things like cow dung, wood, charcoal or whatever in India is now recognized to cause major health problems with women and children in poor populations facing the greatest risk. It is recognized to cause major health problems. Does it mean that rural people are getting aware about these health problems and they are stopping to use this polluting fuel? Kindly illuminate my life. Throw some light on my path. Share wisdom. No, you are right. I know. I saw your answer. How about others? How about others? Isn't it a word game that confused you? Now tell me. Show me. If you can find it, show. I would love to discuss. Show me. We need to do post-mortem of every passage here. These are CSAT passages. Come on. If we don't be thorough with them, what are we doing? We can't just skip the passage, do the right answer. We are not doing a competition. Show me. If you feel that I am wrong, please. I welcome you to show me. Where is it written? That rural people are getting awareness of health problem. Right? No, we are not talking about dung only. We are not talking about dung only, sir. We are talking about biomass and coal. Coal is not dung. Right? We are talking about everything. Yeah. So therefore, A is out of scope of the passage. Now let's come to B. Subsidizing the use of clean cooking fuel will solve the problem of India's indoor air pollution. Now, in the passage, are we talking about giving subsidy? Enlighten my path. Kindly, please, throw some light, shed some wisdom. Where is it? Subsidizing the clean fuel? Although the fraction of people using LPG, natural gas, electricity is slowly rising, the number using polluting solid fuel as the main fuel has remained static. That's one thing. Okay, fine. That's one thing. Another thing is there are more than 10 lakh premature death every year from household air pollution, plus another 1.5 lakh due to their contribution to general outdoor pollution. We are talking about both indoor and outdoor. I agree. But where? Are we saying that subsidy could be a good solution? The passage hasn't mentioned subsidy, cost cutting, nothing. Rule number 2, you thought extra. Now, some students in the previous batch were saying they got this kind of param gyan, they got this kind of enlightenment after CSAT lecture, and they told me that it looks like when we overthink also we go wrong. I think they're right. That's what we are doing here. C. India should increase its import of natural gas and produce more electricity. This is superb. Import, export. Where is there in the passage? Again, show me. Illuminate my path. Where is it? Import or export in the passage. Rule number 2 would have solved all the problem actually, if used efficiently. D. The most balanced option, by the way. Access to cooking gas can reduce, they are not even saying finish, can reduce premature death in poor household. What a stable and what a logical conclusion that you can draw from this passage. If those people who are dying every year because of so much pollution, only if they had access to cooking gas, maybe premature deaths would have got reduced, especially among the poor population. Again and again, we are coming to know about poor. Second line, poor. Women and children who are poor. The fraction of Indian population is very less. But those who use solid fuel as the main cooking source has remained fixed at 70 crore. It is a problem of access. Now, we are not talking about how to get that access. We are not talking about PM Ujjwala scheme. We are not talking about subsidizing LPG, exporting, importing LPG. Why are we overthinking? Let's not complicate the issue. Simply, if you provide access to it, people will probably not die as much as they are dying today. Yeah. Yeah, true. But in that case, I would comment that if it was a PBQ, I would have absolutely agreed that in the passage we are not using words like access. But it's an IBQ. In an IBQ, you need to find the hidden message of the passage. What's the main intention? Come on. The main idea, the main intention of the passage is that if people have simple, if people have access to LPG, natural gas, or electricity, they will probably not die so early. Especially who? Those from the poor community. That's why it's the right answer. Yeah, I understand that. To that, I would say that, see, in a group class, when you study, it is very different as compared to when you study alone. See, when you study, I'm telling you one more thing with my experience now. Hear me out. Yeah, I think it will be logical to you as well. I have noticed that when you study alone, when you are practicing alone, your performance and your accuracy, it shoots up by 15 to 20% always. Why? Because there is no clamor and disturbance. A group lecture can be very effective, it can be interesting, but it always disturbs you. And we can't stop that from happening. Here I am constantly giving gyan 24/7 blabbering. There people are commenting. Internet is on and off. Thousand disturbance must be there. We are competing also. So much is happening. It is not possible. Nobody can become Swami Vivekanand. 100% attention will not come. It's logical. Nobody. If you ask me to do, I will also make mistakes in a class like this. It's natural. That's why we are learning techniques here. These practices are just to teach you how to use your weapons. The real test will be when you sit and do it alone. I think that will really work for you. Because when you sit alone, there is no clamor around you. There's no teacher on the top of your head constantly talking. There is no colleagues, commenting, and there's no this kind of social, you can say, thing going on. It is a very different feeling, studying in a group and studying alone. So naturally, your efficiency will be better than this. Don't worry so much. Right. So when you do alone, your attention and your focus will be much higher, double than what you're having right now. Fine. Don't worry. It happens. For distraction, stop using smartphone. No, seriously, I'm not giving any param gyan, but I'm telling you genuinely, for a CSAT paper, the best preparation would be to stop wasting time on Instagram and all that. It is like your attention span becomes low, and then you have a problem when you do logical aptitude questions, you can't focus. So the best thing is either meditate or stop watching too much smartphone. You will see improvement. Good thing you've done. Studying alone is the best. Practicing with group is good. On that note, quickly, before the break, 2016 CSAT passage only for you. 66% students go with D, confusing option, so very well done. 14% B and 16% C and merely 3% A. Now, it is okay. 66% D is a good result, but what is really bothersome is that why did 16% people go with C? Now, those who went with C, how come they missed this every? It was hiding from you or you did not see it? It was hiding from you or you did not see it? You hid from it. What happened? Rule number one, extreme word, right? So this was an easy miss over there. It was an easy slip. Yeah, you did not see. I know that. Absolutely. I know you did not see that. Yeah, I saw. I'm reading all the answers. Yeah. So C was easily eliminated because it had extreme word. Rule number one, I was giving you hints, my dear. No problem, it happens. No worries, no worries. Now let's look at A. It is difficult to pursue. Pursue is, it is difficult to achieve. It is difficult to try, to implement climate adaptation in the developing countries. Now, I would want to ask you that in the passage, did you find something called developing countries? In the passage, are we trying to talk about developed or developing or underdeveloped countries? No, I think it's remotely not in the passage. So therefore, we can use rule number two. It's out of scope of the passage. We can eliminate both of them, A and C. Agreed, B and D could be confusing. Let's look at B. Improving food security is a far more, which means it's a lot more complex issue, complicated problem than climate adaptation. Okay? Now, if you talk about option number B, my dear, I think the passage is not saying that. Improving food security is a far more complex issue than climate adaptation. Where is it written? Climate adaptation will become ineffective if policies are not designed in the context of other development problems. Okay. For instance, rule number 4, a comprehensive plan that seeks to improve, a planning that is trying to improve food security in the context of, in the background of climate change may include a set of coordinated actions like agriculture extension, diversification of crop, integrated water and pest management, and agriculture information series. Rule number half, last line. Some of these may have to do with climate changes and others with economic development. Some of what? All these measures, all these strategies that we are talking about, rule number half has worked wonderfully over here. Rule number 2 has worked wonderfully over here. Rule number 1 has worked wonderfully over here. And still we missed it. Some of these have to do with climate changes, while others with economic development. Where are we talking about the fact that food security is more complex than climate adaptation? Can you show me this comparison? If it's there in the passage, then kindly show me quickly. Show me. Show me. Don't change the topic. Don't change the topic. No extra smartness. Show me first. Have to show me first. Show. No, show. Those who have selected, at least they show. Quickly. I'm waiting for your response. No. This is not an excuse. Show me. It's not there. Then why we selected this if it's not there? Now look at D. Climate adaptation should be examined in tandem with other economic development options. Now, in tandem means something that moves together, something that moves simultaneously. You should focus on your physical health in tandem with your studies, or the government needs to make sure that social welfare is in tandem with climate change. Means everything has to go together. That's exactly what rule number half said, that some of these above mentioned measures may have to do with climate change while some others are about economic development. So they both have to go together in tandem. That's exactly what the passage is trying to tell you. That's the logical and the most valid conclusion we can draw, and hence D is the right answer. Any issues? Am I doing dictatorship? Is there an unhappy state of affairs here, which I'm trying to use by chance, by coincidence, and becoming a dictator? I think you have taken the passage too seriously, emotionally attached to the passage. Okay, Fine, now that it is a break time, let's have a break. Take a break, take a break. It has been back breaking for everyone, so take a break. And let's quickly come back after the break. Let's quickly come back, and then we'll proceed with the remaining practice passages. Now, today we have to practice tough passages. Tomorrow we have to practice super tough passages. Only then shall we be prepared for the final exam. Okay. And this is not dictatorship that you tell me 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Then I am not saying that students are doing dictatorship on me. But if I say something, it becomes dictatorship. Look at this. Take. Take a long break and be happy. 7:20. Please come back sharp at 7:20. 7:21, I will tell some secrets. If you don't come, you will miss them. See you quickly. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a long, relaxing break time. If yes, then kindly please back with your attention here on the screen on the upcoming questions. And let's proceed. I'm there. Can you see me? If not, kindly please refresh your link once. It could be internet glitch. I'm absolutely here. I understand that, but which means that you are progressing pretty well. Like when we get confused between two options, which means that we are already in the process of coming very near the main idea or the main purpose. Otherwise, even those two would be very difficult for us to find out. And this probably is little bit more practice. It's not like CSAT passages is something unique, or it is not like it is a talent or it is a strange ability. It is purely familiarity. So I think give one more day tomorrow, and I think that's when we will be in a better position to discuss that what and, like, which all confusions are we still having. So give it at least one more day tomorrow. Yeah, that is purely practice. And that's a very good sign also. Those who are coming with two options confusion, it means that their understanding level is quite high already. That's very good. Thank you. And once again, a warm welcome. So now please keep in mind rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, and half. And let's quickly proceed with the upcoming question. Pull up your socks and start the practice now. Okay. CSAT 2016 for you. If you use the tricks, it is nothing. If you don't, it is difficult. Questions now? 33% A, right answer. 59% C, small miss. D is 2% and B is 6%. Okay, no problem. It's a slightly confusing one. I understand. Now, to begin with, let's just eliminate something that is a waste of time. Look at option number 2. Human beings can be duty bound only. Now, this is an easy one. If there is an extreme word, we absolutely know by rule 1 that we need to eliminate that. Now, if rule 1 is valid, then option number 2 is invalid. So B and C anyway, sorry, B and D anyway we can remove. We can save our time. Now A and C. Okay, let's see A. Human relationships are derived, taken from their religious traditions. All right, let's look at the first line of the passage. In general, religious traditions stress, give importance to our duty to God or to some other universal principle. Our duties to one another derive from these. The very first line of the passage is giving you the answer. Yes, one is correct. Our duties to one another derive from these. To what? Religious traditions. So, which is fine. Human relations are derived from religious traditions. Yes, to a big extent, because their mutual responsibilities comes from there. So, one should be correct. Now, let's look at 3. It's a very clear catch. Religious traditions are essential to practice and understand justice. Let's follow rule number half and 4. But for justice to be practiced, rights and duties cannot remain formal abstractions, formal ideas, which means they must be grounded in a community, bound together by a sense of common union. Even last half rule, last 3 lines, even as a personal virtue, this solidarity is essential to practice and understand justice. Now look at the last line and match it with option number 3. And now you tell me, is religious tradition essential to practice and understand justice, or is solidarity essential to practice and understand justice? Focusing only on rule number 4 and rule number half, it's a tight catch. That's why rule number half is very critical sometimes, most of the time, 70%. Religious traditions are not. Solidarity is essential to practice and understand justice, making A the right answer. I absolutely have no regrets for this one because it is complicated. It just teaches us a lesson. The lesson that next time while reading the passage, let's be a little more focused. It's a game of words. Solidarity means collectivity, unity. It is a very, very sociological concept. Those with socio might be aware. Solidarity means when people are together in a group. Yeah, so that's why. No problem. Don't get disappointed. It is all a part of practice. The more errors you make, the better results you will get. Always remember. A mistake is a golden realization that I am practicing. And if I practice, I will succeed. Life works like that. On that positive note, let's quickly proceed with a passage coming to you from 2022. Easy passage, overlapping deadly options. Try. Very good. What a response. A 30%, B 33%, D 24%, C 13%, and 60 students not attempting. What to do? What to do? Now, I know in this question, every batch is having the same issue this year. Yeah, that's true. Now, I knew I could kind of have a vibe that it might happen. Options are very overlapping here. Now, the option is super easy. Let's see what went wrong really. Why only 13% people went with the right answer? See, constantly I've been telling you that let's go for the purpose of the passage. Why is the passage written? Behind writing these lines, the writer should have had an intention. What does he want you to know? Let me put it in another words for you. From now onwards, I will use a different language. What is the moral lesson you learned from the passage? When you were a child, when you were learning Panchatantra stories, or when you were learning so many stories, you always had a moral lesson behind a story. Every story teaches you a moral value or a lesson. From next time onwards, no, don't be disappointed, please. Please, that will not help us at all, my dear. Don't be disappointed. From next passage onwards, always try to find out the moral or the value that you have learned from the passage. You take it this way that every passage is here to teach you something new. When you know what is that, you will get the right answer. In this clear-cut passage, no problem, no disappointments, no getting upset, no anxious, no stress allowed. Please, strictly prohibited in my class. Smile all the time. We are learning. You can make mistake. It's your right. Be happy. Don't get upset. In simple matters like shoemaking, we believe that only a trained person will solve. Structure word, but. In politics, we presume, rule number 3, that everyone, now please listen to this carefully. Rule number 3, that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a state. When we are ill or sick, we call for the trained doctor or physician whose degree is a guarantee of their technical competence. We don't ask, half rule, last 3 lines. We don't ask for the handsome physician or the most talkative one. Well then, when the whole state or the whole country is sick, should we not look for the service, guidance of the wisest and the best? Going by the last 3 lines, rule number half. Who should be the leader? Who should be the politician or the political leader? Somebody who is the wisest, most intelligent, and the best. Once again, who should be the leader? Wisest and the best. Once again, who should be the leader? Wisest and the best. Then why do you think that politicians should be selected from those who are trained in administration? Why? You are doing this because you feel that if a doctor's degree is everything, then what about somebody who makes shoes? They don't have a degree. Their training is everything. For a doctor, it is training and degree. For a shoemaker, it is training. But for somebody who needs to guide your country, it is being wisest and the best. Why only people who are trained in administration? Will anybody trained in administration become wisest and the best? Not really. Similarly, look at option number A. We assume that in a democracy, any politician is qualified to administer a state. Any politician is qualified to administer a state. But the second line says, rule number 3, that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a state. It is not what the passage says, that we assume that any politician is qualified. No. Anyone, everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to run a state. So anyway, passage is not saying that. Now let's come to D, as D is absolutely illogical. As voters select their leaders, administrators, the eligibility of politicians to administer a state cannot be questioned. Oh, come on. We are constantly talking about the otherwise. Got it? Confusing, but did you get the logic now? D is totally out of the scope of the passage. Passage is constantly saying those who can get the votes may not necessarily be the best leader. The best leader is somebody who is the wisest and the best. And therefore that person will give us service also and guidance also. So now the main purpose behind the passage, why was the passage ever written, is that we need to create a method. Devise, create. We need to create a method of barring, stopping incompetence or lack of efficiency from public office. Yes. Why? Now, if it is a TBQ, you must find out why was the passage written. What you are doing is that you are getting confused with the secondary or the supporting ideas. Supporting ideas. Fine. Let's assume option number B is correct. But is that the main purpose of the passage? I told you multiple number of times. In CSAT passage, it is not about finding the right or the wrong answer. It's about why is the passage being written here? What's the intention of the writer? What lesson is he trying to teach you? That let's not allow anybody who knows how to get votes lead a state. Let's not allow somebody whose service and guidance we cannot take. Let's not allow somebody who is not the wisest and not the best. Going by half rule, we need to find a method from which competence can be stopped from government and administrative offices. Yeah, it is talking about only finding the wisest and the best administrator for public office. D is totally illogical. B, I told you why. And A, you have misunderstood the passage. We assume that in a democracy, any politician can become an administrator. The passage says no. The passage says anybody who knows how to get a state will know how to administer a state. Barring means stopping. Stop them. Stop the people who are not the wisest and the best from coming and leading and administering your state. Confusing, but is that correct now? No. See, definitely what you're saying is valid, but you cannot say that it is not related to the passage. You cannot say that the word barring is or a method is not related to the passage. How can we say that? It is not a PBQ. If you try to match the words, it will not work here. It is a TBQ. It's not a PBQ, right? Indirectly, the passage is saying the same thing. When the whole state is ill, should we not look for? What do you mean by should we not look for? How will you look for it? How will you look for it? Through telescope? How will you look for it? How will you look for the wisest and the best person? There has to be some methodology for that. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to find some solution so that only intelligent, wise, and the best people can come here. That's the crux of the passage, the main argument of the author. The others are not the main argument of the author. D is illogical. B is half true. And A is not exactly what the passage says. So they will never be. Why will they never be, my dear? It's because it is a TBQ. In TBQ and in IBQ, you cannot expect that the option will be directly located in the passage. You can't expect that. That's only in a PBQ. In a TBQ, it is you who has to find out. Now, when you are saying the word incompetence, kindly match it with the last line of the passage. Wisest and the best. Then go to the second line. In a democracy, we presume that everybody who knows how to get votes can administer a state, but that's not true. You are still not the wise and the best person. You should be that. So incompetent people who know how to get votes, but who are not competent should not be allowed to come inside. Is it clear now? It will not be mentioned word by word. Why? Because it's not a PBQ. Had it been a PBQ, then what you're saying is totally valid. Okay. If C is not the right answer, then what should be the right answer? Then I would say A will be the right answer. The most close answer. D and B don't make any sense. B is very narrow. D is illogical. That's assumption. See what I've written here. Look at the screen. Don't overthink on your own. That is a tightrope that you need to walk on. While you need to interpret the passage, you can't just take the passage in your mind and go on imagining things. Oh, maybe training will make them wisest and the best. Who cares? Right now, they are not the wisest and the best, isn't it? So let's also refrain from overthinking too much. Well, that's something we have been speaking about, ma'am, from the beginning. TBQ is theme-based question. Crux, main idea, purpose of the passage, message, IPQ is a logical conclusion and PPQ is a direct question only on one line of the passage. Yeah? No, I think A would be the right answer in that case. Shall we proceed now? Yeah, okay. All right. So now let's also quickly see some critical challenges which a majority of students face while solving IBQs. Now, a lot of people have standard problems. Like some people say, options are very overlapping. Like in this one, it's very difficult to find which is the logical option, which is not. Another problem people face. They read the passage, and after that they are like, yeah, we read it, but we didn't understand anything. Some are like, passage is very easy. Options we are not understanding. See, what are some of these problems? And please solve this passage. 2018, right in front of you. A very common complaint of students, overlapping options. Have a look. 50% A. Good. Very, very good. Very well performed. 20% C. No problem. 17% B. Yes, I have a huge problem with that. 13% D. Yes, I felt bad about that too. Why? Let's look at B. Science only. What is only, my dear? Golden rule number one, extreme word. It cannot be correct. Look at D. All. What is all? Extreme word. So it cannot be correct. Rule number one. Now that B and D are gone, the only issue is between A and C. Now look at the passage. What does it say? Okay. It says that scientific knowledge has some dangers. But structure word, next line. So has every great thing. If science has a danger, what's the big deal? So many great things have dangers also. But over and beyond the dangers with which it threatens us, our present life, it opens up, it creates. As nothing else can, now focus on this. I know why you got confused with C. Listen to me super carefully, my dear. It opens up as nothing else can. Nothing else can. Science can. Open up. What? The vision of a possible happy world. Focus on these words, please. Vision of a possible happy world. Now look at last line. Rule number 3, last 2-3 lines are very important. Possible happy world. Not guarantee, warranty. Possible happy world. A world without poverty, without war, without illness. Science, whatever unpleasant or bad consequences it may have, by the way, is in its very nature a liberator. Liberator, something that gives you freedom. Now please focus on the words. It opens up like nothing else can. The vision of a happy, possible happy world. Now when I say the word vision, what does it mean? possible, in my vision, the world will become beautiful like a dream. Yes, it's a desire. It's a dream. It's a dream. There's no guarantee that it's going to happen. It's just a vision. A vision is something that you imagine. And then the word possible is adding up to it. There's no guarantee. It's not saying that. Science open up as nothing else can. The vision of a happy world. No, even that's doubtful. The vision of a possibly happy world. It's possible, it's not assured. So therefore, how can C be true? A happy world is not possible without science. Now, where are we saying that? A. A happy world is a dream of science. Use rules. If you would have used rule number 1, you would have not wasted time on wrong options. Second point I was jotting down here. Please don't use imagination. My dear, that's exactly what you have done, at least for those who have selected C. Nicely, you have used imagination. Don't overthink. You have overthought like anything this time. D. What does the passage say? Vision of a possible happy world. So therefore, A is the right answer. You don't have to think so much. Is that okay? Yeah, it does. Nothing else, yeah, I know, not possible without science, but nothing else can show a vision, like science. Science is the best when it comes to giving you a dream. So a dream is a vision, my dear. What confusions you're having now? Is that clear? Can we proceed further? But do you agree? But do you agree, like most of us students do, that UPSC has this one very bad thing, that the options are very overlapping. Do you agree to that? See, that's what I've written here. The options are very overlapping and confusing. Now, in this passage, most students knew the passage was very simple. But as soon as they were happy and they were celebrating that, wow, it's an easy passage, they came to the options and then that's it. If you remembered rule number 1, you still became very happy. Okay, fine. B and D gone. But still A and C. Now, in that, you had to use your wisdom, that you are getting trapped in these words. It's a word game, my dear. It's reasoning ability. Yeah. If you ask me, it's not tough as such. It's just about thinking a little bit more logically. Okay. So, can we proceed with next question, or are you very, very unhappy right now? Are you unhappy that so many mistakes happened? It's okay. You should be happy that you are making mistakes here. Now imagine those students who write CSAT without class, without practice. What happens to them? Imagine the kind of danger that they are subjecting themselves to. You're not doing that. Okay? No, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You should be very happy always while you study. If you study in an unhappy state of mind, 1% retention happens. If you study with a happy state of mind, 90% retention happens. So please smile. It's your right to make mistakes. You're learning here. And this one, once again, same problem. Easy passage, overlapping options. Overlapping options. 2017 CSAT. Very good. Why was the passage written? 45% A, correct answer, well done. 26% D, confused. B, 16%, and C, 13%. Now, in this passage, before we discuss anything, let's be very clear about one thing, that from now on, whichever passage you read, yeah, they are confusing, definitely. Whichever passage you read, you just have to ask yourself, that you always do, why is the passage written? From now, you also will ask, what lesson did you learn from this passage? What lesson did you learn from the passage? Plus, in this passage, there is no other rule but half rule, that half golden rule. The last two, three lines are super critical. A successful democracy depends on your widespread interest and participation in politics. If a democracy is successful, people should participate, in which voting is a very important part. But to deliberately refrain, to deliberately, knowingly stop yourself from showing an interest like that, which means to deliberately not vote, is a kind of implied anarchy. What is anarchy? We have spoken about it, that UPSC repeats this word many times. Lawlessness. Implied, indirect. Yes, it is a kind of indirect, implicated anarchy. Half rule. It is to refuse your political responsibility while enjoying the benefits of a free political society. When we are talking about a democracy, it automatically means, yes, absolutely, it automatically means that you have the right to participate. The passage is telling you that. The passage main idea, why was it written? What lesson do you learn? B, right to vote. How can this be the learning from the passage? How can this be the intention behind the passage? As soon as the author uses the word democracy, it automatically means people have a right to vote and participate in politics. What is democracy? Government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's there. How can this be the main purpose, main idea, TBQ? Main idea. Why is the passage created? C, freedom to vote. Obviously you have it, it's a democracy. D, right to participate in politics. When he is saying a successful democracy depends upon your interest and participation, naturally you have a right to participate in politics. Now look at the rule. You have to follow the rule very strictly. Look at the last three lines. Rule number half. To deliberately stop from taking an interest or to deliberately stop from voting is a kind of lawlessness. It's a kind of crime. Then it is to refuse to say no to your own political responsibility. To your own political responsibility while enjoying the benefits of free political society. Because it is a democracy, you are getting all the rights, you are enjoying your fundamental rights, but then you don't want to give your vote. So you can enjoy your right and you cannot fulfill your duty. Your duty is, what do you mean by the word responsibility? When I say please be responsible, what do you mean by that? It means that please do your duties. What is the big difference between the word dutiful and responsible? So therefore, the main purpose or the main intention of the passage, why was the passage written in the first place? Yes, they are synonyms, is to tell you it's your duty to vote. See, that's why I was telling, what lesson do you learn from the passage? So what lesson do we learn? That it is a right to vote, we know that. It's a freedom to vote, we know that. Right to participate in politics? We know we have a right to participate in politics. We are talking about a successful democracy. Last three lines. You are denying your political duty and enjoying the benefit of a free society. What do you mean by free society? You have a right. You already have it. What you are not doing is your duty. That's why A is the right answer. Is that clear? Confusing, but that's UPSC for you. Confusing, but you have to admit. See, that you have to admit and confess honestly, that if you were using the rules thoroughly, methodically, then possibly mistakes wouldn't happen. And that's the reason I don't like this polling system at all. I just don't like it. Because when we poll, pressure comes and competition comes. And that's when students don't use the rules properly. And I don't like that. Only if you were not doing this polling system, no, then you see how much more focus you could have given. But that's okay. At least you know what mistake you have made. Shall we proceed? All messages are visible to me. All right. Once again. 2021. Super easy passage. Super confusing options. Please take your call. Very, very good. D. Wealth generation is based on risk-taking behavior of some men. Okay? Because they couldn't see that, that's why I'm reading it. 60% C, right answer. Well done. 20% B, 17% A, and 3% D. Very good. The happiest thing is that very few people went with D. Now, that's very, very good. Let's see what went wrong, really. Now, which of the following is the best summary of the passage? You know, it's a TBQ. In a case of a TBQ, no problem, no worries, don't get disappointed. You tried, that's enough. What is the main purpose of the passage? What did you learn from the passage, right? What did you learn from the passage? Medieval merchants risked the dangers of Silk Road to reach China. Clear? Portuguese boats in the 15th century, they sailed beyond the boundaries of the known world, which means that Portuguese people were in their boats, and back in the 15th century, they were trying to sail, they were trying to go outside the boundary of the known world which they knew about, their own country. They were taking a risk. When you know to an unknown place, yeah, whether it be America or India or whatever, Vasco da Gama came to India, 1498, imagine. We are talking about 15th century. So why? Because they wanted something. They wanted something. Why did he come? Was he mad? Why did he come? He was not mad. He was greedy. Searching less for knowledge. They are searching for something, but less for knowledge than for gold and spice. Yes, you said it. They are trying to find spice and gold. Historically, since history, the driver, what is the driver? The motivating force, the reason for opening frontiers. Frontiers? Barriers, boundaries, national boundaries. Historically, the reason behind opening walls or barriers has always been the search of resource. Resource is what people want. Now, Vasco da Gama came to India, took spices and gold and sold it at 10 times a higher price. And everybody was doing that. Entire colonialism and imperialism is based on that in history. People wanted money and spices. Last line, half rule, most important. Science and curiosity are weaker drivers. Some people used to travel for science and curiosity also, to understand what is there outside my country, to do scientific experiments, but that is a weak reason. That's a weak reason. The only way, now focus here, the only way to open up space, to open up new region, new area, whether it be the solar system, whether it be Chandrayaan or your Aditya L or your Shukrayaan, whatever, anything, to open up space, whether it is solar system or space beyond that, interstellar space, is to create an economic engine. What is an engine? Engine is something that is driving, that is leading you. Economic engine, monetary engine, money. And what is that engine? Rule number 3, that engine is resource extraction. It's a very powerful hint. Rule number half has combined with rule number 3, and that engine is resource, the hunger for money and resource. Now, what is the intention of the passage? What did you learn from the passage? A, wealth generation is the primary motive for any human endeavor. Endeavor is effort. My dear, those who have answered option number A, just answer one question from me. One question. Wealth generation is the primary motive for any human effort, which means any effort a human being makes, whether it be helping somebody, eating food, drinking water, studying, loving your children, loving your parents, any human endeavor. The passage is not talking about any human endeavor. The passage is talking about one human endeavor, and that is the endeavor for opening new frontiers, to travel beyond the bounds of the known world, to actually open up space. That's one kind of effort that we are talking about, exploring new areas, going outside the known world, exploring or opening new frontiers. That is what we are talking about. So only one kind of effort is being spoken about in the passage, and that is to explore new areas, to go to new frontiers. And how can you say any human endeavor? It's not an extreme word, but it doesn't make any sense. Searching less? Yes, people were searching for something when they were traveling outside the familiar world, but less for knowledge. They were searching for knowledge also, but less. This was not the main intention. The main intention was gold and spice, greed for money. The last line proves it. Economic engine. And that engine is resource. So A is not valid. Now look at B. B is totally out of scope. It is so illogical. Space, whether it be solar system, whether it be interspace, interstellar space, will govern our future. Are we talking about some science fiction movie, Avatar, or that interstellar movie, or whatever that was? Are we talking about some sci-fi? That interstellar space or solar system will govern our future. Really? Is that what the passage says? Now, where has the passage spoken about solar system and interstellar space? You have used the rule number 3. Now, let me be very honest here. Those who have selected B, they have used rule number half very nicely, but they have misunderstood it. They have used it in a wrong way. Why? They focused on the last lines. Very good. What they focused upon is not what the passage is saying. The passage is saying the only way to open up new spaces, whether it be solar system or whether it be interstellar, is to create economic engine, money, and that is resource extraction. But you have misinterpreted it. You are saying space will govern our future. Where are we saying that space will govern our future? No, that's why it's wrong. Out of scope of the passage. D. Wealth generation is based on the risk taking behavior of some men. Why? If some people will take risks, they will only get the benefit. How will entire wealth generation be resulted in some people's behavior? See, this is what we learn from the passage. Human beings are motivated, inspired to explore new frontiers. Now, please match this with something that I'm going to highlight in the passage right now. Kindly highlight. Kindly match the following. Can you see my marker? Can you follow my marker pen? Human beings are motivated to explore new frontiers. Historically, the driver for opening frontiers has always been research for resources. Match the following. Human beings are motivated to explore new frontiers principally, mainly by economic considerations. Frontier is like, in Hindi, it's called sarhad. Seemaएं, right? As a Hindi synonym for it. In English, it would be called as boundaries. Limit of something. Is that clear? Human beings are motivated to explore new frontiers principally by economic considerations. Yes, the half rule, the last line. Economic engine, and that is resource extraction. That's why C is the right answer. Now, what's the confusion here, my dear? Any confusion? Any regrets? No, don't regret. I'm just kidding. No confusions, right? Okay, very good. All right. No. That you can do. Don't read a passage 2-3 times. If you have read it once with full dedication and still you can't get anything, yes, absolutely go to the Hindi side and read the Hindi one. Although the Hindi is quite technical Hindi, it's a very, very clished Hindi. Most difficult Hindi words are used. Very Sanskritic, very Devanagari. But still, if you have a Hindi native language, you will understand better. It's a very good idea. Please do it. Yes. 2013, easy passage, but lot of people make mistakes. Go on. Very good. Okay. 57% respondents have gone with B. Very well answered. Brilliant. 24% have gone with D. I'm not very sure why this confusion has happened here. Let me see what went wrong. Um, 10 and 9% CNA. And not many people, very few people actually took this question. So that's surprising to me a little bit. I thought it's an easy one. It's a PBQ. And is it? No, sir. There is an option. If you get the poll and it's hiding your option, then you can shift the poll to your right or to your left, isn't it? I think other students can confirm that better to you, sir. Definitely, there is an option because students just shift it a little bit. So please shift it. Otherwise, you will miss out. That I can't do, sir. I'll tell you reason why. Now, according to the passage, which of the following statements is most likely to be true as the reason for man's miseries? What is the reason behind man's miseries? A. Poor economic and social conditions prevailing in society. Does the passage say that? That conditions in society are poor, economic and social? Where it is saying? Miseries of the world, the problems of this world cannot be cured by physical help only. Physical help, food, water, and any kind of monetary help. Until structure word argument changes, next line very important. Unless man's nature changes, his needs will always increase and miseries will always be felt, and no amount of physical help will remove them completely. The only solution of the problem is to make man pure. Ignorance is the mother of evil, and the misery is also because of that. Last line. We may convert every house in the country into an asylum, shelter, and we may fill the land with hospital. Last line, rule number half plus structure word, rule number 4. But human misery will continue until, oh my God, how can I miss this? I also missed with you. See, this is very strong, Half rule plus 2 structure words in the last line, but and now until also. Until man's character changes. So what is the reason behind man's misery? Where is it saying poor economic and social conditions? Out of scope. 2. The refusal on the part of the man to change his character. Yes. Yes. Because until his character changes, miseries will always be felt. Miseries will always be felt. Match the following. PBQ, answer direct. C. The absence of physical and material help from his society. It is opposite. Author is saying you can fill your country with hospital, but nothing will change. It is saying that no amount of, please look at the second line, no amount of physical help will remove the misery completely. How can you say? The absence of physical and material help, no matter how much help you give, misery will not go. Misery is because of character. D. Ever increasing physical needs due to changing social structure. Are we saying that the physical needs are constantly increasing because of changing society? Rule number 2, out of scope completely. Completely. Until man's character changes, his physical needs will always increase. Even to stop your physical needs, you have to change your character. Agreed, it is not mentioned, but let me tell you one thing. If I ask you to hold your nose like this, or if I ask you to hold your nose like this, intention will be to hold the nose. If I tell you today it is not hot, or if I tell you today the weather is cold, what is the difference between the two? This bottle is very hard. This bottle is not at all soft. How are these two different from each other? Similarly, the refusal on the part of a man to change his character. Man is refusing to change his character. The last line says, misery will continue until man changes his character. So therefore, C is the right answer. Okay? This much change is expected. It's UPSC. Second question, same passage, majority does it wrong. All the best. Don't read full thing again. Only rule 3, 4 and half. Don't waste your time. No problem. 52% D, correct. 16% A, 13% B, 18% C. No problem. I knew this is quite an expected mistake. You are not the only one. It's an IBQ. Whenever you get statements, assumptions, and you have to choose, it's an IBQ. Which means that indirectly, what conclusion can we take out? What is the main purpose of the passage? One, the author is giving primary importance. Now, what do you mean by primary importance? What do you mean by primary importance? Primary importance means a lot of importance. Author is giving very good priority, main, first importance. Yes, the author is giving ultimate importance to physical and material help in removing, eradicating is removing human misery. Come back to the passage. Rule number 4, until man's character changes, his physical needs will always rise and miseries will always be felt. And no amount, please, no amount of physical help will remove them completely. Then how can you say A is the right answer? Out of scope. If one is wrong, A cannot be correct, C cannot be correct. Let's only focus on B and D now. 2, charitable homes, hospitals. We have seen this in the passage. We will confirm in the passage again. Charitable home and hospital, etc., can remove human misery to a great extent. What do you mean by great extent? To a lot, to a huge extent, it can remove human misery. Let's come back to the rule number half plus rule number 4, last line. We may convert every house in the country into a charitable asylum, into a charity shelter, free food, free medical care, free living. We may fill our country, our land with hospitals. But structure word very powerful. Human misery will continue. What do you mean by continue? What do you mean by continue? Continue means something that's happening constantly, something that's not reducing, something that's not completing. It will not end. Exactly. Human misery will continue until man's character changes. If even by hospital and if even by charity, human misery continues, then how can you presume on your own that charitable home and hospital will remove the misery to a great extent? The passage says it will continue. Now, whether you agree or whether you will not agree, but I expect an honest response, my dear. This is clearly a picture of not having given enough time to rule number 3, 4 and rule number half. Because only if we had given time to these rules, there is no way we could have got the second question wrong. The first I can still understand, but not the second question. Now comment, please. It happens. This is UPSC CSAT, anything can happen. So therefore, absolutely B is wrong and D is the right answer. None of them are correct. Now we just have 10 minutes. So first let's attempt another question and then we'll see. Why to waste time? Oh, this is a lovely passage. Enjoy yourself. It's a treat for you. 2013. Enjoy. 66% C. Well done. 19% A, 6% B, 8D%. It's a PBQ. That's why. Now, see what is going on. Most of the students are in a hurry to answer. It's natural, it happens. But we are not bothering to find out what kind of question is that. There is a standard format. First the passage, then the question, and then the options. If it's a PBQ, answer has to be directly available in the passage. There is no choice here. The author asked John to drive more slowly because A, the road led to the hills. But the passage is not saying like that. The passage is saying that as we climbed higher, it became colder and rain began to fall, making it difficult at times to see the road. I asked John, my companion, to drive more slowly. It is because they could not see the road properly. If he drives fast, they will never be able to drive again. To drive at times, it was difficult to see at times, and that's why he said, please go slow. It's there in the question itself. Now look at B. Do you know that John was experienced or not experienced? Do you know the biography of John? Is he your neighbor? You don't know, right? A. The road led to hills. I agree. That's an important point. That road was leading to the hills in the jungle. But that doesn't mean that he asked him to drive slowly. If that was true, then what is this? We drove swiftly along the narrow winding road that led to the hill. They were driving swift, fast. Then why will they become slow? Similarly, D. They were in the jungle. That's not the reason. Next question, same passage. Oh, so sweet. %64 B, valid answer. It's a clear-cut PBQ. The travelers were worried. They were anxious after 20 kilometers because, what does the passage say? After half rule, last three lines. Always very important, 70% success rate. After we had traveled for about 20 kilometers, there was no sign of the town that was mentioned on the map. Absolutely. We were beginning to get worried. Why were they worried? Because they thought they are lost. If you travel somewhere, you have a map and the town is not there, automatically you will believe that you've lost. How can we say the rain was falling? That's why they were worried. Or it was getting colder as they drove, or it was a lonely place. The only reason in the passage is that, yeah, they thought they are lost, and that's why they were worried. Exactly. There was no city only on the map. They feared having lost their way because in the map itself, now I don't take names because otherwise I want to take the names of everybody, all 200 plus people here, because everyone is equally dear to me. I love everyone equally. But if I take names selectively, it becomes very unfair. And since we cannot take 200 plus names in just such a short span of time, I'd rather not take them. Because if I'm reading your comment or I'm responding, you know it's you. So that's why I avoid this. I don't want to hurt anybody, frankly. That's the thing. No other reason. Okay. So with that, now we're almost done. Just 4 minutes to go. So not like we can take up a question. Definitely not a 2020 question. But no, all these are difficult questions that will follow from now. Most of them I have picked from 2020 or some interesting ones here and there, but all of these will be difficult ones. So I don't think in 3-4 minutes you can do them. Definitely not. But for tomorrow, let me be very, very clear. One thing is we shall practice actually so far the most tough questions that have come, including most of them from 2020, the toughest year. So kindly be there for tomorrow's session. It will be the make or break one, the ultimate high intensity practice that I'm planning to do. Second thing is, never ever forget the rules. Most of the people know the rules they are trying to use, but then they forget. Don't forget that. Always focus on rule number half, although it is half, but it is very critical. Okay. Not everybody. No, ma'am. Everybody. Yes. No. Apart from PYQ, never ever practice from anywhere. Apart from PYQ, never ever practice from anywhere. It's the best source you can do from. Okay. Sure, we can think about leaderboard tomorrow. We can do that tomorrow. There's no problem in that. Doubt clearing session, so I'm not sure. You'll come to know. Even I haven't been told that yet. So be very strict with the rules. I'll give you the email ID for sure. And no, don't use that, sir. Oh yeah, for PYQ, you can use anything, ma'am. For PYQ, no problem. You use anything for PYQ, but please never ever attempt anything outside UPSC. Never ever do that, sir. Definitely you can manage. Okay, I'll repeat them. There's no problem. I can do that. There's still 2 minutes to go. I'll do that. Okay. Today's leaderboard, now it's not with me. I'm so sorry. Tomorrow we can see that. All right. This is the email ID and then I'll clarify the rules to you. You wanted the rules, I'll talk about it. No problem. Yeah, the class is almost over, ma'am. You can actually take the leave. Just please be here tomorrow sharp at 5. Tomorrow is the most decisive session for our CSAT class, the most important session. I'll also talk about some vocab improvement and some other reasoning ability tips. Now, some people say after the class, can we attempt all RC questions? Yes, you can. I'll be more than happy if you do. But from my side, it is mandatory that if there are 30, please attempt 17 with full, complete accuracy. Now, talking about the rules. Yeah, tomorrow is the last, sir. Talking about the rules. See, rule number 1 means if in any answer options in any question A, B, C, D, like here, A, B, C, D, if they have an extreme word, it will be wrong. Similarly, rule number 2 says any option that talks about information from outside, it is also wrong. Now, rule number 3 says, if in any passage, while reading the passage, you find the word that, please slightly underline the next one and a half line. The one and a half line after the word that in the passage, no matter if it's one, no matter if it's in multiple places, it will always be very critical for you. It will help you find the right answer. Okay, remember that. Next thing is rule number 4. As per rule number 4, in any passage, in every passage that you read, there are certain words which we refer to as, say for example, structure words. Okay? Here they are. They are called structure words. Structure words are called structure because they are very important. They change the argument of the passage. So in the passages, if you find these words, thus, therefore, hence, but, for, since, however, moreover, until, unless, stop for a second. Once again, the immediate one and a half lines after these words are very important. They help you reach the right answer. It's just the right answer. Yes, please take your leave, sir. Please take the leave, sir. Don't waste your time. Yeah, this is just for those who asked for it. Please, you take your time. Okay, so these are the rules. Now, talking about the last and the half rule, in any passage that you read here in CSAT, the last three lines are very important. Please give us special attention and focus on them because these will also take you to the answer. They are very conclusive in nature. They will help you reach the answer. Always remember. These are all the rules I have discussed here. Thank you so much for such a lovely segment, such a lovely session, such a beautiful participation, your positive comments, your eager participation. It's your effort that makes the class a success, and wishing you all the best. Have a happy Monday. See you back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for a more deadly and a more ruthless and a more exciting session, really. And then we can talk about so many more things. Absolutely. First the passage, then the question, and then the options. And you will be able to solve majority of the passages with this practice. That 100% you take it from. Be confident and positive. No problem. I'll do it. I'll do it, sir. You want last two questions of today? I'll mark them and do it off tomorrow. Either the break or after the class. Okay. Tomorrow last class, ma'am. Good night and take care of yourself. All the best.